Hi, and welcome to the session today where we are going to talk about display advertising. And we have with us Beth, who's the head of display at Grainger. And we will be talking to her about how she does her job at Grainger, and in the process, learning some of the real world skills that you will be able to use in your capstone project. Beth, thank you for taking the time to chat with us. Could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hello. My name is Beth Distel, and I am a digital marketing manager here at Grainger. I've spent about 3 years with the company, and prior to that, I had an academic career at another Big Ten university in an advertising program, and spent a majority of my early career working on the agency side of the business when the media world was much different. So I have my roots in traditional media, TV, radio, outdoor, newspaper, etc. But then as the media world changed, started getting much more entrenched in the digital space, and have spent the past 6 years really doing marketing automation and behavioral targeting through display media.
Very good. So I know, we're talking about display advertising today, and display is sort of one of the channels that Grainger uses. But, for our students, tell us what display means for Grainger.
Well, it can mean a lot of things. I think its most rudimentary definition would be visual advertising on the internet. So that could be everything from an app that you see on your phone. It could be a video that you see on YouTube. It could be a banner ad that you see on ESPN.com.
And in terms of volume and sort of importance of display in the list of channels that Grainger uses, where would you place display?
So display is the second highest funded element in our digital marketing mix behind paid search. There's a lot of synergy between paid search and display, obviously, but we spend many millions of dollars on our investment in display.
Great. Just take us through what is the workflow when you decide on a campaign. And then take us through some of the steps that you might follow in deciding on, where to put the ads and how to target them, and perhaps some examples.
Yep, absolutely. So one thing that I would like to touch upon first before I get into the kind of the mechanics of a campaign is how display advertising is purchased today. So it's changed dramatically from the early days when you would buy a banner on a specific website to reach a specific demographic. Most all of what we do now is automated, so we do behavioral advertising based on signals we're able to capture on people that are on the internet, and then we purchase all of our inventory in what is now called a programmatic marketplace. So essentially, all of the big websites with high traffic take a certain percentage of their inventory and they put it on what they call the open ad exchanges, which is much like the stock market, where marketers decide how much they want to bid for an impression on that particular website to reach that particular customer or prospect. So everything that we do is programmatic, and I think it's important to understand that. It's a very efficient way of doing business, and the media industry is trying to get more digital media to be bought and sold programmatically. Eventually, the hope is that television will be bought that way. But it allows us to reach a very qualified prospect as opposed to a broad demographic. So in regards to actual mechanics of campaign setup, first we would need to agree what the objectives of the campaign are. Are we trying to influence someone's awareness or get in their consideration set, which I know is one of the phases in terms of a customer decision journey or a consumer decision journey. Once we decide what the particular objective of the campaign is, then we identify who the best prospect is. So I'll give a specific example here. If we're trying to sell more lighting products at Grainger during the month of November, we might use our data to identify people that are Grainger customers coming to our website but aren't buying GE lighting products, for instance. So we're able to reach that particular customer and give them an incentive. Maybe it's a discount, 20% off. So that would dictate what the messaging is. We might run that campaign for about a month. We look at the metrics. So I know the students are probably somewhat familiar with some of the analytics that we would look at. So we look at conversion rate, repeat visits, time spent on the site, engagement metrics like that, when they actually purchase, what the average order is. We look at all of those things to dictate how we optimize our strategy when the campaign is live. In most cases, because our display channel is a big part of our e-commerce efforts, we're looking at driving incremental sales, so incremental return on ad spend. So essentially, for every $1 you spend in advertising, how many dollars in sales are you generating? So typically, that's how we would optimize our campaigns.
Great. In terms of, I know you said you've been in the industry for quite some time. So comparing what you're doing now in terms of digital ad buys to what you would have done in traditional media, what are the main differences that make possibly the ROI so much first possible to show ROI and then perhaps easier to track ROI? Any thoughts on the differences between what you used to do 10 years back to today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, traditional media was bought based on trying to identify time of day, day of week, demographics, the type of content, which are all really just indicators of who might be in the market to buy your product. So for instance, you might run a TV ad for Kraft macaroni and cheese at 7 o'clock in a primetime show to try to influence a mother's purchasing decision. Whereas for digital media today, what we do in the programmatic marketplace is identifying someone who's showing signals of purchase intent, and then reaching them wherever they happen to be, whenever they happen to be there, because those signals are most relevant to them. So rather than trying to artificially engineer our targeting, it's really following that particular individual. So the hyper-targeting ability of it is really very different.
So just to clarify, perhaps for me and also for the students, is that does this do the ad purchases and these ad offerings, display offerings, how much of this can be targeted to meet the user? For example, one of the frameworks the students have learned about is catching sort of the consumers or customers at the zero moment of truth, is before they even realize that they're doing an active search through a consideration set of brands, and Grainger may or may not be one of those before, even before people land up with that at that space. So do the campaigns that you run, can they be run completely automated based on user profiles and user behaviors, and how much of sort of daily interactions are involved to tweak the algorithm?
So to most effectively run a programmatic campaign, it's a little bit of art and science. Okay. So it's machine and man. Okay. Artificial intelligence doesn't completely rule out the need for human intelligence. We bring a lot of customer insights, okay, and we help determine what the strategies are. Okay. We keep a close eye on the algorithms. They work very effectively for us, but we'll come in and make adjustments to them, okay, based on how the campaigns are doing. Okay.
And these algorithms are there for buying inventory and also serving inventory?
Both, yes. But in terms of the zero moment of truth, we do know a great deal about our customers and prospects, and so we're able in our messaging to customize their experience. So if they haven't been to our website in a while, we might reach out to them with a video that reminds them why Grainger brings great business solution to our customers. Once they've been to our website, we may serve them an ad for a product that they just recently browsed. So very personalized and based on where they are in their journey.
Okay. Give us, I know, of course, you have a lot of data on what's happening on Grainger.com itself. Give us a sense of how display advertising leverages data that's not on your platforms. What data do you leverage and how do you leverage that?
So there's a lot of third-party data as well as our own first-party data. We have a digital management platform, a DMP, which if you follow the industry, that's becoming something that more and more brand marketers are really relying on, is the strongest signals that you can capture. So that could be data that we collect from direct marketing. It could be from our paid search, our SEO programs, our social programs, our email programs. So even though it may not be display data that we have, it's data that we do have about our customers. Okay. There's also a wealth of third-party data out there, Exalate, Blue Kai, Bizzo, that companies collect that is not necessarily representative of our customer base, but may have a lot of signals that are important to us. Okay. Someone who's a frequent traveler, for instance, might be someone who's of value to Grainger to message. Okay. So first-party data, third-party data are very valuable signals. The industry has put a lot more regulations on search data. So search query data is something that we used to be able to leverage a lot more. Google makes it a lot more difficult to use that data now. Okay. So I would say of all the signals, the first-party data is the most valuable.
Okay. Okay. Well, great. That's a great overview. I know we'll get into more detail on some of these topics in future videos, but thank you for your time today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for listening in, and we'll give you more updates from Grainger in the next videos.